Stranger dangers.
Recording in
Might be
progress.
a much easier conversation.
I get it, my kids.
You looked a little hesitant to come in here tonight.
You know, have seen me this clean shaven. In a while.
Ever?
No, never. I don't think they've ever seen me. I think the last time I was clean shaven, I was working for Halliburton. They had me clean shaven for that job. That was like 2014.
Saying, Aaron, you should have donated it to the beard equivalent of Locks of Love.
Is there such a thing?
It's for those poor guys that can't grow beards.
There might be such a thing.
Yeah, mine always is kind of patchy.
Just donate
I
it.
don't know. Beard and stuff. Yeah. Done my hair before, locks of love, but I've never. Yeah, I was just sitting on the back porch, and it just kind of just blew away in the wind.
It's a nest
Little birds
now
are gonna make their nest.
for an eagle.
It's gonna be so warm this
I
winter.
know there's a couple birds out there that are gonna be like nice and toasty. This
That's
morning.
awesome.
Is there a special occasion?
All right, we have 5 o'clock. So we will go ahead and get started with
The
what we've
budget.
all been so excited to hear about.
I know, and we are excited to share this with you. So I have some opening remarks that I'd like to kind of set the stage, set the tone for our conversation. As a reminder, or if this is the first time you're hearing it, this does not need to be the first time we talk about the budget, or the only time that we talk about the budget, right? It will be the first time. However, we have time this year, once we're done with this presentation, for council to dig into it more. Amy, our finance director, will be providing the detailed budget to you all in the community at the end of this week. So you'll have time to review that. So don't feel like this is your only opportunity to go through this information, okay? So, all right, so before we dive into the details of the 2026 budget, I want to start by acknowledging something really important. Anytime we adopt a budget, there are risks involved. The budget is a planning tool. Our revenue and expense estimates are based on the best data we have today, but we all know that things can change. The economy could shift, costs could rise unexpectedly, or revenues could come in lower than anticipated. None of us has a perfect crystal ball. Our role as staff is to make a recommendation based on the local trends, financial data, and community priorities as we see them now. If the picture changes, for example, if the economy weakens significantly, we have policies in place that will guide our response, including the Revenue Reduction Response Policy, which Council approved in 2024. Those tools are designed specifically to help us make informed adjustments without overreacting or underreacting. The budget before you tonight is a staff recommendation based on what we know today. It reflects a balance between caution and optimism. If council's risk tolerance differs from ours, we are absolutely open to adjusting our approach. Ultimately, the budget sets your policy direction and staff carries out that direction. Over the past several years, our track record shows that we have budgeted conservatively. From 2020 to 2024, actual revenues exceeded budget projections by an average of 12%. Over that same period, actual expenses came in about 8% below budget. This has resulted in an average positive bottom line variance of about $2.1 million per year. Even in the last couple of tighter years, this trend suggests that the 2026 budget remains on the conservative side. For example, if revenues come in just 1% higher than projected and expenses 2% lower, we would achieve a sufficient surplus to keep our reserve level above 10%, even with the proposed budget. There were three key,
Can you
yes.
say that one more time? Sorry.
If revenues come in 1% higher than projected and expenses 2% lower, we would achieve a sufficient surplus to keep our reserve level above 10%. So there are three key drivers behind the 2026 budget. The first, cost containment efforts. Staff has already reduced original budget requests by over $1 million, prioritizing critical needs while protecting the general fund wherever possible. Our largest expense category, salaries, is budgeted at 100% of authorized positions, even though actual costs are typically lower due to turnover and delayed hiring. This is part of our conservative budgeting approach. 2, revenue opportunities and growth trends. We are seeing strong interest from new businesses, which could meaningfully boost sales tax revenue. We're working with grant-funded consultants on downtown revitalization strategies that could increase visitation and related revenue. Staff is exploring leasing unused city facilities like parts of the Tower Building and old fire station as potential future revenue sources. And if the county's lodging tax measure passes, the city could benefit from an additional revenue share. Given the uncertainty surrounding dollar impacts and timing of the above-mentioned opportunities, these items are not specifically budgeted for in the current 2026 budget proposal as presented tonight, which follows the city's conservative budgeting approach. However, it's important to be aware of these opportunities. If and when more information can be obtained in the future, plans and projections will be adjusted accordingly. And number 3, the police station. We remain focused on delivering the police station project on schedule to maximize the benefit of the DOLA grant, which expires in March of 2027. While extensions may be possible, the risk of losing that funding grows if we delay. Delays would also increase construction costs due to inflation and limit our ability to keep up with rising public safety demands as call volumes continue to grow. Last year, we projected that the 2025 ending fund balance would drop to 15.1%, below our policy target of 25%. Updated projections now indicate we'll meet our minimum reserve this year, but 2026 again shows a budgeted deficit. We fully expect tonight's discussion to include different perspectives on risk tolerance and long-term planning. That's healthy and helpful for staff. What staff would like council to keep in mind is that each cut has a consequence. These are the conversations we would like to have with council tonight. Staff's goal is to provide you with a balanced, well-reasoned recommendation based on the information we have today. If council's risk analysis differs, we are ready to adjust course, and we welcome your feedback and ideas. Are you ready? It's 58 pages of fun.
Thanks.
Yes. All right, I'm gonna start us off with the 2026 proposed budget, managing growth and meeting our commitments. We think it sounds really good. All right. I don't have the clicker. Do I need the clicker? Thank you. No, I don't need the clicker. You're the best. All right. So, what is a budget and why does it matter that we budget? The budget document is council's priority statement. This lets the community know what your priorities are and reflects what you have established as what your commitments to the community are. It's a financial roadmap. At the very least, it projects revenues and spending for the upcoming fiscal year, reflects your priorities. It ensures responsibility, and that shows the community that we are transparent and want to build trust within the community. So we are outlining exactly what we spend our money on and exactly where our money comes from. It also supports the strategy that you all put forward and that each department head brings to the budget discussion and through our key performance indicators. The meetings that we had with the department heads were difficult sometimes to ask the department heads to cut from already pretty slim budgets. We have departments that don't do a lot of capital projects and are very personnel centric. So to ask departments to really look at cutting 10% of a budget where it's staff focused was an extremely difficult conversation to have. But what we wanted to have on the flip side of that conversation of cutting is also how we're investing in the community. We can't continue to cut without showing our community that there are opportunities where putting a city dollar into a project could bring forward more money in the community, and how are we going to leverage those dollars? So we want to invest for growth, and what you'll see in the budget is a very strategic investment in very specific projects. The city is growing. There is a demand for services that we struggle to keep up with. There are new communities coming, or new citizens coming into the community, and their expectations for the services that we're providing comes with them. We also have a community that is maturing and needing services that we can provide. So we are planning to strategically use our reserve funds to meet those immediate needs that we have identified. We do anticipate that revenues will catch up as growth continues. It can be painful as we maneuver through this, as we try to adjust what we're spending and what we're bringing in. But long term, we see that revenues are going to catch up with us. You all know that the city relies heavily on sales tax, that it is the most volatile source of funding that we possibly could have. And we have to provide parks, recreation, community development, public safety services, all through one extremely volatile revenue source. We do not have a property tax. And although property tax brings in less money than sales tax, it is much more predictable, and it makes budgeting for some of those public safety needs easier, and we just don't have that. In 2026, we are projecting sales tax to grow at about 3%. So my job, I believe, as city administrator is to stay positive and make sure that the employees know that they are doing great work and that we value that work, and that the projects that we bring forward for the council to consider is a reflection of the work that they do. So staying focused, staying positive, and moving forward has been the message that I've tried to share with department heads and with the employees who work for the city. So growth brings challenges and opportunities, right? It's very exciting to see more people coming into the community, and it's also more wear on the roads, looking for, new sources of entertainment or opportunities for their children. We made significant cuts to the requested budget, as I mentioned before, but what you have in front of you still uses reserves. And if you think back to the conversations that we had about the fire station and with UMB, this was a conversation that we had. We knew that we would be dipping into our reserves and that it would be tight for a couple of years. And the decision at the time was to stay that course and to move forward with the fire station, knowing that we would have a couple tight years. We feel, as a collective, that if we plan thoughtfully and that we take into consideration both pros and cons, consequences of cuts and consequences of keeping something in the budget, that we will be able to serve the community effectively and efficiently as we move forward in this growth stage. We have been and will continue to monitor the trends, adjust spending as needed. This is a planning document. It is not set in stone. What is decided and passed by council, as you all know, can be amended and adjusted. Staff remains flexible and ready to adjust throughout the year as necessary, as we have done in the past. So just a couple things to keep in mind. And when we're talking about the budget and some of the stressors on the budget, we are primarily talking about the general fund. That is the fund that is primarily funded, I'm gonna say fund one more time in case you guys don't know, through sales tax. It's fun, it's fun. Fun is fun to say. All right, so our first full fire station payment is due in 2026. This is $1.1 million. In 2025, we had an interest-only payment, which is about $750,000. We also have some grant-supported safety projects that we had to move forward with or felt like it was really necessary to move forward with. I've discussed the police station. You also are aware that the airport fuel farm replacement project was higher than anticipated, and because of the IGA that we have with the county and our joint operation and ownership of that facility, we are required to spend those funds. So what's the outlook? What is our financial outlook? Fund balance is projected to dip below council's minimum policy. And as a reminder, this is council's policy. This is not a state directive. So it can be adjusted based on what council feels. At the time, it was set at 25% because the sales tax is so volatile that the council really wanted to make sure that there was a safety net in our funds in case something really bad happens. So we do not anticipate something really bad happening, but that it's a fact that we are dipping below council's minimum policy. Again,
Christy, sorry, do you know what year that policy was?
24 is, right? It was updated in 2020.
21, 20,
Somewhere
yeah,
in there.
right around there. There's one in place before we adopted it.
Okay.
You know, which set the same limits, so.
Okay, sorry to interrupt.
No, thank you for the question. And again, that was at a time when we were seeing double-digit sales tax increases during COVID. So 25% reserve, done. Like that was extremely easy at the time. I think we're moving out of COVID and needing to readjust what our reality is. It's important to look at that. Again, long-term growth and revenue is expected as the community expands. But we have to keep an eye on that, and we have to continue to be proactive in bringing in businesses and other types of investment into the community. And I think, okay, yep. Water and wastewater, everybody's gonna go through this in more detail. Water and wastewater, we have a couple capital projects that are underway. You will see the first reading for the ordinance to fund the Highway 50 sewer replacement project. Really excited that that is moving forward, another super expensive project. Mesa water tank replacement. There are some street projects that are coming in 2026. Many of them have external grants associated with them, and David will talk about that. And the housing fund, we are moving forward on South Arc infrastructure build out. We have the bid out for that phase 1 infrastructure to be completed by the end of summer next year. Again, grants and intergovernmental partnerships support that. We have a great staff that is really good at finding partners, whether it be at state or federal level or here locally, and we are really leveraging those partnerships and that good relationship that we have. All right, pass it along to David. You can sit down there. Yeah.
I think we might just stay seated.
Sounds good to me.
Just moving on to water and wastewater utilities. So we kind of have a format where one slide is sort of the overview of the division and the other slide's the budgetary components. Our water fund encompasses our raw water and raw water storage. Next slide. Let me step back. The first bullet was employees. So within our water fund, we have 4 employees at the water treatment plant, and then we have 6 field workers. The 6 field workers also show up under wastewater because they have duties with both water and wastewater, so it's the same 6 for each fund. We also have administrative and finance staff partially supported by this fund. Services, we have raw water storage. So we have storage contracts where we have what's called project water up in Turquoise and let's see, not Clear Creek, but Twin Lakes, there we go. And then some other water in North Fork Reservoir. So that's what your raw water is. Water rights, they're becoming more and more valuable pretty much every year out in Colorado. We have a pretty robust portfolio there. Also takes care of our water treatment and our distribution system, which is our pipes and our hydrants and valves and such out and about. It's supported by our system development fees, which is what gets paid by people pulling building permits at time of construction, and then also supported through our user rates each month. Budget highlights. So at the end of 2024, we completed the rate study, which had multiple years of adjustments to our both system development fees and also our user rates. A lot of that was kind of moved along because of the Poncha situation. So there's implementation or changes that will need to happen over the next number of years. That's part of what's needing to occur. Completion of the smart meter upgrades. This has been a multi-year project. It's actually something I think customers will really appreciate, and we'll be sending out more public information on our smart meter and availability. There's like a user portal that any user can log into and see more like how they can conserve water through changes in their irrigation and things like that. So that's pretty nice technology. It's almost complete. We have this next year, we're looking at getting some contracted assistance to operate the mainline street valves that are out in the street. It's one of those things that you can't really have distractions. Our crews try to get them operated and then they get called for a leak or another issue. And you really have to keep working valves. If they sit there for years, they end up just not working or the parts and pieces break. I'm sure if you live on G Street or F, you've seen some valves get replaced this past year, and that's kind of what happens with aging infrastructure. And then last on the planning side is to initiate a contracting mechanism and preliminary design for our surface water plant. This has been in our rate studies for quite some time, and our rate study takes this into account. It's an aging system, and it's even though this is a very important and big project, it's also going to take quite a few years. It's not something that we aren't going to have a new water plant in 2 years. It's probably like a 5 to 7 year process where engineers will be presenting to council like preliminary reports and things like that. This is just to kind of get the process started. And then on the capital project side of things, we have a new water tank proposed on County Road 120. Currently, we are short on treated water, and you look at your peak day, and tank storage is really critical. For example, even though we heard about, Hot Springs being impacted by the little mudslide on Poncha Pass, we also had to turn the water plant off for a good part of a day. And when you turn the water plant off, you're relying 100% on the tanks having enough storage, and currently we don't have enough for a peak day, so that's something that's been identified, and it's also in our rate study updates. The gallery tank out at our gallery system, it's a 1.5 million gallon tank, but it's getting old, and it had a pretty major repair that got identified during inspection with the state, and so we're required to make that repair in a timely manner. So that was one that was not anticipated, but unfortunately, with older infrastructure, that's an item that came up. Lastly, pretty minimal water line replacement this next year, but when we do street projects, we always look at that to try to make sure we're not tearing up a street twice. And then I can move on, I guess, to wastewater, unless we have any questions on the water fund.
Anybody? Okay.
All right. Wastewater fund, I'm sure you're well aware, covers Poncha Springs and Salida.
It does?
It does. And yeah, wastewater treatment, piping, systems and manholes, et cetera. Similar to the water for treatment staff and the 6 shared workers, as well as finance and admin. And similar to water, system development fees and user rates help or supply the revenue to operate this. On the budget highlight side of things, kind of redundant here, but implementing the utility rate study. We have on the sewer side of things, because backups are pretty high risk for the city, sewer backups in the basements and houses, CRSA does require that we inspect our lines once every 3 years. So we kind of break our system down to do a third of it every year. And it's a pretty big undertaking. We have some high-tech equipment and software that helps track that data, but that's ongoing. Also, we have some software integration that's been in the works a couple of years, the Cartograph software. I think we talked about it last year, but that's in the process of being put into place as well. Capital projects, there's some sewer main replacement, just essentially replacing the aging infrastructure. And then, of course, the big projects, the Highway 50 sewer line that got awarded maybe about 2 months ago now. And there's basically, we're kind of waiting on CDOT permitting for that project. The contractor has to put together traffic control plans and environmental studies, this and that. So hopefully we break ground this winter or early spring with that. So it'll kind of be a stage project that'll kind of sequentially move from 291 and 50 the whole way to Poncha Springs, kind of on the south side of the highway. So, yeah. Anyways, I guess that's pretty much it on the utility side of things. Any questions? Good.
Go back to your utility pie chart, the first slide.
And it changes from year to year. That number is very big on the project side of things because 15.5 million is the Poncha sewer line. Yeah.
Thank you.
Anything else?
And we'll send this presentation out after the meeting. I know everybody's taking copious notes, but you don't need to do that.
We'll have a chance to digest it.
You will have a
more
chance to
later.
digest it.
Yeah. Just moving on to streets. On the overview with streets, we have 4 employees, 1 supervisor, 3 municipal workers. And so the services and also the projects that are covered by the street fund would be essentially maintaining facilities within the public rights-of-way, which include curb, gutters, sidewalks, roadways, road drainage facilities, so our storm sewer system, where we have that. It was pretty well spelled out in an ordinance that the city adopted back in 2016 when the ballot measure was passed. And then other maintenance within the right-of-way occurs, such as snow plowing, repairs, and street sweeping. So the street fund is operated based off a sales tax, which I had a few more like bullet points to kind of help explain that a little bit more closely. And it helps pay for the operational and capital construction. It also, we use it for like the grant matches as well on the street projects. So, next slide. I'd put together, just because I think there were some questions that came up, and so I was asked to put some bullet points together a little bit to describe the fund in a little bit more detail. Again, there's ballot measure 2016 that got passed that dedicates 32% of sales tax revenue to support this fund, which equates to currently close to $3 million annually. I think just to make note, as Christy did as well, most of the projects you saw last year, as well as this year and next year, were not funded from the street fund. We don't have that kind of money to do like Oak Street or the downtown project or 291 heading out towards the hospital, which is in the design. That was all grant funded. There was kind of a slug of money that hit the streets and right around COVID to kind of keep things moving, and we got close to 6 to 7 million in grants to do a lot of this work. So just kind of reminder of that. I think we spent, 2 to 3 years paying for Poncha Boulevard. That was the last big project we did with the street fund. And then a couple just points. Let's see, where are we at here? Just a little bit of information related to streets. We have close to $100 million in assets citywide with our streets. So in looking at the life cycle, so a street has a life cycle about 30 to 50 years. So just using those numbers, we should be spending close to 2 to 3 million a year already to keep them in operating condition. And then our operations is a little bit less than $1 million. So I think in a nutshell, we're kind of close to balancing, fortunately, with where we need to be on the capital side of things and also operations. So But anyways, wanted to provide that information. And then moving on to some of the projects within the street fund, we have operational planning. We have, as noted, 4 employees, 3 municipal workers. We are requesting a 4th municipal worker for a couple of reasons. One, we see some retirements in the pretty near future with the employees that work within that division. So I think just succession planning is super important, just to help teach knowledge and skill sets related to that type of work. And also there is a significant increase in infrastructure with every new subdivision that goes in, whether it's going to be South Arc next year or everything we see on the fringe of town. So it's just workload has gone up, and we haven't added any staff there for quite a few years. On the planning side of things, one project that was committed to when the fire station went in was improving Illinois, which is next to the crest and the school admin offices, clear back to Scott Street, which is the gravel road essentially that's behind the fire station. So we need to initiate design for that this year, this next year, and construction will likely be the year after, assuming funding's all in place for that. The other project that's slated for reconstruction here in a few years is J Street. I hear about it a lot. I don't know if council members do, but J Street fronts the west side of Longfellow Elementary, and also it'll front the new Montessori school. There aren't any sidewalks on it, and also the asphalt's kind of nearing the end of its life as well. So that is one future street project that we'd like to have kind of shovel ready with plans completed. It takes about a year to really go through the process of surveying, engineering, et cetera, and having it ready to go. And then last, but probably most important, is the South Arkansas infrastructure design, phases 2 and 3. So right now, the design has been completed for phase 1, which, Bill, what's that, 150 units-ish?
150 to 200.
Yeah. So that's, Bill and I have weekly meetings, and the consultant's been pretty much, they have a whole team that's been working on that for the last 6 months or so, and it's out to bid right now. So hopefully the first meeting in October, we'll bring that to council, and hopefully the numbers come in good, because there's not a lot of wiggle room with the funding for that. But we'll need to roll into phases 2 and 3 design, which is the rest of the subdivision out there. On the capital project side of things, going into construction this next year is the other grant-funded project on State Highway 291, which starts at Marvin Park and goes out almost to the heart of the Rockies entrance, Rush Drive, which sort of replicates the other end of 291 with bike lanes, curb and gutter, storm sewer improvements, sidewalks and everything. And so that, yeah, we should see that. That's going to be one more kind of challenging project as far as traffic management, and certainly an important gateway to the city. So more to come on that.
Hey, David?
Yeah.
Really quick, is that one with the roundabout? Is that project?
Yep.
Okay, cool.
And we also have it designed and to be bid in 2 phases, just in case if costs come in high, because that's kind of been a trend with most projects, it seems like. But anyways, so that is one. Safe Routes to School is a funding source through the federal government that we were successful in getting funding for. It's a number of years back now, and it's taken quite a while to get all the clearances through CDOT to be able to construct that, but the details are noted up there. It's a US 50 sidewalk from Walmart down to Holman, and then going up Holman, the sidewalk would continue up to the Monarch Spur Trail, and then a sidewalk for what we call the Striker Trail, which is the south side of the soccer fields, kind of connects the Spur Trail over to the neighborhoods, and then a couple of the push button Highway 50 crosswalks. So it'll be nice to see that one finally completed. I certainly hope it's this next year, should be. And then asphalt maintenance and sidewalks that's an annual project. We're essentially putting chip seals or mill and overlay for pavement. It's not like a reconstruction project that takes months. So it's pretty quick and easy. Actually, this year's asphalt maintenance projects on the consent agenda for tonight. I noted the County Road 105 bridge. The city annexed this bridge back when Two Rivers development happened and that annexed in. And this is a bridge that is going to get a lot more use once that whole area builds out in town, because it's a quick and easy way to get into town versus having to go out and get on Highway 50. And a couple of the development, or one development over there put in, basically we have a letter of credit for like $100,000 to pay for part of that bridge. And the problem right now is we just don't have the money in the street fund to construct it. So we're hoping that depending on where these other grant funded projects fall, when it comes to bidding, may dictate when we bid that project out. It's kind of just been sitting on the shelf for the last 2 years until funding's available. And then last is a South Arkansas Infrastructure Phase 1 construction. So that's pretty much what I have.
Thanks.
You know, up here just so I can see you all.
Do you have a question, Wills?
Yes, I wanted to ask about, the safe routes to school on Oak Street in front of Crest Academy. Did we used to have, like the school zone? Did we have a school zone there before? And like the speed limit dropped, or am I imagining that?
I don't think so.
There was some
there not?
signage, and 291 was kind of unique because it went from 25 mile an hour to 35, and it bounced all over the place. And I guess it's probably nice to note, last Friday, the devolution actually, the IGA was signed, so whatever it was, we can take a look at it and make changes a whole lot easier now, so.
It was a person with a slow sign that would run in front of traffic when my kid would cross the street.
There you
No,
go.
actually, there was a young man who was confined to a wheelchair, and that was the route that he used. And so those speed limits were lowered specifically for him.
Was there someone noting that the speed limit went up, or, because I don't think that
No,
happened.
that's the route I take into work, and with the school back in session, I was like, did it used to go down? But I think it's because it used to be 35, and then it
Yeah.
dropped to 25, and now it's just all 25.
Correct.
I think that's just, thank
The
you.
way of the world, right?
Yeah.
And then I was curious about, you mentioned that some of the funds for the water and wastewater go to like admin and finance staff. Do we know how much of those funds?
It depends on the finance staff's involvement.
Oh, okay.
Payroll,
Okay.
like our payroll accountant, I think is 15%, and Christy and I are like 5%, something like
Okay.
that.
Okay. I just know, we had that conversation, Councilmember Stevens, like, mentioned, if we could move it around or something, but it sounds like it's if you guys are working on the
It's a
project and helping to
sentiment,
work on the project.
yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, housing fund represents 14% of the entire city's budget for 2026. There are no employees allocated to this fund. It was created in 2020. Initially, it included inclusionary housing fees approved by council in 2018. And in 2023, beginning in 2023, the STR tax was recorded to this fund, and as well as the STR licenses, fees, tax, I should say. Unspent funds will accumulate year over year, providing a greater impact towards appropriate projects. And from time to time, grant revenues or transfers from other funds may be deposited in this fund to further assist with the fund's goals. For 2026, the funds will all be directed towards the housing, for the South Arc neighborhood build out, which is phase 1. It's a $9 million project anticipated, and we will be matching intergovernmental agreements, land sales, as well as grants to help support that project. The capital improvement fund is 3% of our total funding. And the purpose for a capital improvement fund, first of all, there's no employees allocated to that fund, but it supports the major capital projects, excluding streets, water, and wastewater. Those funds, account for their own projects. But if there's a construction project that is taking place, then this is the fund where the construction costs are recorded. It's primarily funded through sales tax allocations, often general fund transfers when the general fund is richer than this fund, and applicable grant awards. In 2026, we are proposing in the budget a little over $2 million to support the remodeling of the Highway 50 Salida Police Building. And funding for that project is coming $1.1 million from the general fund, $200,000 in sales tax revenue that is allocated to the capital improvement funds. So that's 2006, represents 2% of the total 2026 collections, sorry about this. $758,000 is coming from a DOLA grant. And typically projects, because they take time to complete, are not magically completed at year end, and sometimes they have to roll over. And we do have parks projects scheduled in 2025 that may need to roll over into 2026 as we get closer to budget adoption time. We'll evaluate that and let you know how much we add, if anything. And then all the rest of our budgets for fund budgets represent 1% of the total spending of the budget. Next slide. And there are no employees allocated to these funds, and there are 3 additional small funds held by the city that are combined here. The Conservation Trust Fund, this accounts for the city's share of the Colorado lottery proceeds, and those funds are required by state statute to be spent solely on the state-approved uses, parks, recreation, and open space. The lodging tax funds accepts the revenue generated from the lodging tax. The city's municipal code restricts the use of these funds towards the Aquatic Center and the Steam Plant Event Center. And finally, the Economic Development Fund receives up to 2% per municipal code of the city's sales tax revenues to be used for activities meeting economic development type activities. So right now in the proposed budget, all the CTF funds collected by the city are budgeted to go towards city parks maintenance. So they offset spending in the general fund, and that's $70,000 in total. Historically, we have used some of those funds for Salida Mountain Trails as spot, but we are proposing this next year, since the general fund is so tight, to not allocate those funds out. The Economic Development Fund includes a contingency of $50,000, as it typically does, for currently unanticipated spending needs. Parking opens up, something like that. We do have some wiggle room in that fund as council directs. Revenues collected in the lodging tax fund are transferred to the general fund to support the Hot Springs Aquatic Center and the steam plant. Okay, now the general fund.
Amy, sorry. When you discussed the housing fund, you mentioned the potential of selling land. I think back to when we sold some to the Colorado Mountain College. Are there other organizations that are interested in buying?
Well, the development of that land is going to be done by private organizations. So yeah, eventually we will need to.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Sorry.
as we develop it. We're building the infrastructure, but we are not going to build the housing and, the rest of the development. Am I answering that correct, Bill and David?
Yeah, that's
Do you have
correct.
anything to add?
That's correct.
Okay,
We're
thank
just laying out the infrastructure with the idea of conveying it to a variety of organizations, potential private developers.
Thank you.
General fund represents 27% of total spending in the 2026 budget. And, I'm glad I brought my notes up here. kind of an overview is it's a very tight budget year, and we are providing base level funding so that we don't have to cut any of the existing programs in the budget, okay? It's a tight base level funding. The one-time cost that we do have funded out of the general fund is the police building remodel, 1.3 million. Airport fuel farm, the city portion is 751,000. The machinery, there's some machinery, you know, we're doing some capital replacements in the general fund, but there's only one area where we actually added new machinery, and that's the mechanic shop, relatively new shop for the city, and there's some machinery that will help pay for itself over time, dealing with oil, you know, recycling it to actually heat the building after oil changes. And there's also a parts cleaner, which will save money with us having to send parts to an outside agency to clean them if we buy the cleaner ourselves. We also have funds to do a fire master plan study, and we are working with the county and Poncha Springs to help fund that. And then we may have to have a special election if an expected citizen referendum is brought forward, and the cost for that would be $30,000. We are proposing a 3% COLA in this budget for our employees. You know, we try to match the employer's cost index, which is currently running at 2.9%, and that's a federal index. However, the consumer price index for Colorado is now running about 2.7%. Social Security increases are anticipated to be 2.7%, so we felt comfortable bringing that down from the employer's cost index, which is the index that we usually use. Medical insurance, we had a huge increase this year. It went up 20% over the prior year rates, which ended up resulting in a $200,000 increase. However, we've been looking at it right up to this morning. You know, the numbers are changing. We're working with our consultants who help us place our insurance monies. And it's looking like we're going to have to propose some different plans that have a higher deductible and co-pays for employees. But the cost will increase 11% versus the 20% for both the city and the employees. So you know, after the adjustments, it looks like it's gonna be about $110,000 budget impact.
And Amy, if you have to do that, will you be adding an HSA, or do you have one already?
We do not fund the HSAs. The employees, we have a high deductible plan already, so employees who choose that option have the ability to go and open an HSA. We do not.
So it's in place.
fund
Because
those,
if more
but yeah.
people are on a high deductible plan, then it becomes important for staff.
Right,
So it's there. Awesome.
right. And, you know, when we have our open enrollments, CEBT representatives, those are our agents that work with us, will describe to employees their options for what exactly is a HSA and that sort of thing, and encourage them to open those.
Yeah.
Let's see, we also are providing a city match for the co-responder program, which our police chief will talk to that when we get here. That's some new spending in the budget. We also have some new revenue. We're increasing rental, beverage, and pool revenue due to fee increases. And again, this is part of our study trying to make, you know, recreational more sustainable with 110% financing. So we are going to do some fee increases. We hope to have an increase in revenue. The city sales tax growth of 3% represents $227,000. And the county sales tax growth of 3% represents $71,000 in new revenue. Next slide. Bottom line, the analysis of the bottom line, at the end of 2024, our audited available fund balance was $4.9 million. And in order to look at a budget sustainability, you have to try to predict what you're going to end the year, your fund balance reserves with. And so right now, we're estimating 2025 estimated results better than what our budget was. And our 2026 proposed budget of 2.6 million use of reserves, we will end the year at 854,000 if those numbers hold true. That represents just 6.8% of the operating reserves for the city. And, you know, obviously, that's quite a bit less than the fund balance reserves. If you recall, UMB Financial Services, Inc. Did a study for us, I think it was last year, like 2020, yeah, it was 2024. And their prediction for this year would be that we would be at a reserve level of 10.2%. However, they were not anticipating that we would do the police station as well as the fuel farm. And so that's why, you know, we've made significant cuts beyond their projections, which is the next slide here. If you look at what their trajectory was when they presented to us last year, they were showing, you know, if we made no changes, we would be spending into the negative amounts. We would have all of our reserve spent in 2028. And that's the red line there. And then they, you know, they just said, no money left after 28. We are working hard to make sure that that doesn't happen. Even though we're below them this year at what they projected our fund balance to be, we're not going to continue to go down in future years. As, you know, as sharply as the red line that they predicted is. So we are working on making cuts. We're going to have another couple of tight years. 2029, it looks like we might be able to increase, start to build that reserve level back up. We're definitely not at 25% yet in 2029. So just be prepared for every year until, who knows when, conservatively for, you know, a good 5-6 years. So, next slide is the police.
On to police.
Sorry, can we go back to that previous slide really quick? Amy, I guess my question is, what are we gonna do as a city to make sure we are that blue line and not that red one? Just if you can speak to like what you're wanting to cut and everything.
If it weren't for the projects, the airport fuel farm and the police station, we would be about at 17%. So we would be way up above the red line. And the reason for that is because we've made over $1 million in cuts so far. I think every year as we develop the budget, you know, our vision gets closer. You know, long-term is always fuzzy. And we will know next year at this time what we have to do to make that happen. It's going to be another uncomfortable year. It's, you know, there's no doubt about it. Basically, what I'm showing, how I came up with my numbers, is to take this year's base level and say, one of them, expenses have to either increase 2% less than what revenues increase, or by, you know, revenues have to increase by
1%.
By 4% and expenses only 2%. You know, so we have to control that. So we may be looking at more cuts next year. We're not going to be able to do capital projects for a number of years. And that's of concern, it really is. If we delay doing the police building though, we're not gonna see it get any better, you know, in the near term. So, and we could lose our grant.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
That it.
Okay, we can go to the next slide. At the police department, we currently have 26 employees. Out of those employees, one's an administrative employee. The other one's our records employee, handles all the records release and stuff at the district attorney's office. We have 2 community service positions, and then we have 22 police officer positions from the chief all the way down to patrol. Our mission, pretty standard. We're here to protect and serve the community while treating everybody with dignity and respect. I think overall we do a really good job of that. Our complaints are minimal. I get maybe a handful of complaints in the year, so I think our staff does a really good job at that. We have,
Excuse me, we just noticed that the time, we're 10 minutes
Yeah.
away. Is there any way we could extend the meeting, or should we?
I wonder, I mean, you've given us all a lot to digest thus far, and I'd like to hear from everybody on council, but I wonder if, because there's no way we're gonna get through everybody, and we have people behind us that are here for the meeting, the general meeting. I wonder if, but I wanna hear your feedback, if we go up till 6, do a hard stop, and then maybe at the next work session, and that will give everyone the opportunity to review all of this between now and then, but I'm welcome to feedback.
I think that's what we have to do to honor the public, who expects the meeting to start at 6.
Anyone disagree?
Can we just kind of quickly flip through and to the very end?
If that's where you want to go next, sure.
Sorry to take your
Just so
mic
you
away.
can see, and we will send this out to you. I think it's very clear where the cuts are. Anything in red is a cut that, we have put in the budget.
Do you want me to keep going?
Yeah, please. And so we'll get to,
This?
no, one more. Questions, okay, and next steps. So next slide, please. If you have questions, fine. In the meantime, I will prepare a public inspection budget document. We will distribute that to you. That includes line item details and kind of an overview. We'll give you the PowerPoint. At the October 15th, we'll have a second budget work session. October 7th, we'll host a public hearing on the budget. And then October 21st, we don't have to adopt it, but I think we should be able to adopt it by October 21st at your regular meeting. By state statute, we have to adopt it by December 15th. So we have plenty of time. We like to do it before we have new council members coming in so that they don't have to budget, at their first meeting, basically, on a budget that they weren't involved in.
When might we see the documents you're going to send out to us?
When?
Yeah.
Do you want to send it now?
Well, I mean, is it going to be in a week, or is it going to be
Oh,
like tomorrow?
the public inspection copy, it'll take me through, at least until Thursday probably to get that put together.
So end of the week.
Yeah, by the end of the week.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else you wanted to discuss today or hear from anyone here today?
Does anyone have anything else? Otherwise, what I would suggest is we all take a 5-minute break, and then we'll come back and restart the meeting.
Yeah, sorry about that, chief.
We will
You'll
get
remember
to it.
where you left off, though.
Just start over. You
Sort of
know
like the
that.
beginning.
And if anyone's not here, I'll try to cover
Is
your
that
slides.
dignity and rest?
Yeah, somewhere around there.
So we'll start back up at 6 o'clock. Thanks, everybody.
If you
Appreciate
don't
it.
have restroom, you lose dignity.
So we'll have to
lately, but real estate's been good. We're doing really good real estate. Couple contracts out right now. They're waiting to close.
All right, I have 6 o'clock, so we're going to go ahead and get started.
Here we go.
And if everyone, give it 1 second. If I could ask everyone to please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And Christy, could you take roll call, please?
Sure. Stevens,
Here.
Nacarado. Here. Critelli,
Present.
Martin,
Here.
Fontana. Here. Pappenfort. Present. Mayor Shore.
Here.
A quorum is present.
Okay. And that brings us to the consent agenda. Any questions or comments on anything on the consent agenda this evening?
I wanted to talk about for the award 2025 concrete maintenance project. It's gonna be for some new sidewalks and stuff, just getting fixed. I just wanna say thank you to David Lady for getting that into the budget for this year. I've had people who are upset about our sidewalks, they're cracked and everything, so, I'm excited, I know several other constituents are, and thank you.
Love that grinding. Get those high points out of there.
Yeah, exactly.
It sounded great.
Less tripping hazards, I'm here for it.
Thank you. Anything else?
Mr. Mayor, I move to combine and approve the consent agenda.
Second.
So we have a motion from Councilmember Martin, seconded by Councilmember Pappenfort, and the motion is to combine and approve the items on the consent agenda. Further discussion?
Fontana,
Yes.
Pappenfort,
Yes.
Martin,
Yes.
Stevens,
Yes.
Critelli,
Yes.
Nacarado.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Great. And before moving on to citizen comment, I just want to commend staff. I know it's been a lot of work, and this getting the revenue bonds in place for the Poncha Interceptor, it's a really big deal. So I just want to express my gratitude for all the work that's getting there. It's felt like it would never come, and really appreciate all the help in getting it to where it is. So thank you. Next up, we have citizen comment. And this is an opportunity for the council to hear from our community. Public will be limited to 3 minutes each during comments. There will be up on the board a clock and a timer. I will hold everyone accountable to that 3 minutes to be fair to everybody. Council may not respond to your comment this evening. Rather, they may take your comments and suggestions under advisement, and your questions will be directed to the appropriate department for follow-up. And if necessary, the city administrator will correct the public record. First up, we have Michael Kimmert. Kimmert?
Yeah, I guess I comment here, huh?
You're in the right place.
All right. I'm concerned about this whole summer. You know, I live right here on East Second, and we've got complaints from a lot of the neighbors, and I've been there the longest, so a lot of people look to me as to what's going on there. But the big concern is the wave, the noise that just seems to be ignored, as if there's no rules in the park after 10 o'clock on that. The police station's right here, so I guess, what's with the police? It's right in their backyard. Why aren't they even taking care of it? Goes on sometimes past midnight, and I've heard it as late as 4 o'clock in the morning. And everybody's trying to outshout everybody else because it has a built-in problem in that the river is so loud, the only way you could communicate is by shouting. So it echoes all the way down and up and down the river. And then on top of that, you've got the glamping going on. I had a gal parked in front of my driveway this year from June 1st through July with her camping right there. Now, I mean, isn't there a parking moratorium on time? Nobody's addressing any of these problems here. I don't know if you guys went down to East Sackett this year at all, but it's a mess. It's a mess with the wave down there. simply put, they put the wave in the wrong spot as far as I'm concerned. They could have put it anywhere, and I don't know why they put it right there. It's eliminated the fun park for the kids, basically eliminated that. I mean, there's no parking for any of the mothers to come have time with their children in the park that you've put in and enjoy the day. There's just no parking at all. And it gets that way, it was that way from June 1st on. Everybody's just turning a blind eye to it, I guess, as if these guys got carte blanche. My question is, well, who put this thing up? Nobody notified me that this was going in, you would notify anybody from planning and zoning. It was never notified. I was never notified. No one was notified as to this development going on. And it was just all of a sudden put here. So who put it in? Was it the city? Was this a city project? Or was this a river project from the state? Can you answer that question? I've got that simple question.
So we will get, we don't address it right now, but there will be some direction given to staff later, and thank you.
Well, yeah, that's just one question on.
I understand, but your 3 minutes is up. I have other people to go as well. But I did take notes, and I will be directing staff later with some of your comments, so thank you.
Thanks, Michael.
I guess that's it, nothing else.
Okay.
The end of your 3 minutes.
Next up, Ray Kitson.
Hi, I'm here to talk about the F Street closure. I'm a little disappointed and frankly concerned with the kind of government that we have. I mean, all of you have been elected to represent your districts, a representative government, right? So we make decisions in the best interest of our constituency. That's what you're here for. I really don't have a position on whether we close F Street or not. I don't really care. I think it probably works about the same either way. What I am concerned about is that when you do decide to open it or close it, there has never been any reach out to me whatsoever in a structure, like we're gonna vote on it or we're gonna have meetings about it, we're gonna build some consensus, anything like that. I mean, I have had conversations with both Dan and Susie, and a little bit with Aaron, over time, but nothing structured. Nobody cares what the businesses are really doing down there. Some people will tell you that 11 businesses were contacted, reached out to about it. Maybe they were, maybe they weren't, but I wasn't, and I own several businesses down there. What really concerns me more than anything is that you guys are copping out. You're pushing this vote to the people, many of which could care less what goes on downtown or even come downtown, because you were too chicken to make this decision. So you palmed it off back onto the ballot. That is a huge cop-out. Come on, grow a pair, you guys. You got a job to do up here. Representative government. And I know you're gonna call me names later. I get all that. But you know what? I get up, I look in the mirror every morning. I make hundreds of decisions a day on my business. A lot of them are not popular, It's very difficult. I get it. It's very hard. It should be hard. That's the job. And that's your job, representative government. Palming this off back to the voters is absolutely a cop-out. And especially when you're making decisions over, all kinds of annexations and, densities and big decisions, multi-million-dollar decisions, and you're afraid to make a decision on whether to close F Street or not? Shameful, absolutely shameful. I honestly, I'm embarrassed for you guys when it comes to on this particular issue.
Thanks, Ray. Okay, Walt Harder.
Hi, guys. I'm here to talk about the proposed Back Nine subdivision, a short prepared statement. City staff and mayor, I wish to make it known that our development team has been actively pursuing accord with neighbors of the Back Nine subdivision, including Mesa Village, Cottonwood Green, Crestone Mesa, and Cochetope Estates. Our revised 72-unit plan incorporates nearly all changes requested by the neighbors. The city has requested an additional duplex lot, which would bring our maximum unit count to 74, which would create the same density as Crestone Mesa. The president of the Cottonwood Green HOA has offered to write us a letter of support in return for the reduced density, reworked traffic, larger park, and relocation of some of the higher density components. We hope that the public understands that the R3 zoning allows the flexibility to achieve the affordability component required by the city with the particular layout and design elements the neighbors seem to appreciate. R2 would force a considerably blockier design with many more apartment units and duplexes and would utilize the former traffic design. We would like to avoid a costly referendum vote and hope these concessions will accomplish that. We wish to assure our neighbors that our reworked plan will accurately represent the final product and incorporate buy-in from the city. We would like to modify our annexation agreement to incorporate these more restrictive terms without changing any of the other conditions. And this project, just like Angel View and other developments I've done, will meet FHA and Fannie Mae standards, so they will continue to be eligible for those financing guarantees. With permission, I would like to attend the following city council meeting to codify our commitment, provided there is no referendum vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Adam Martinez.
Thank you. I want to piggyback off of what Ray Kitson said. I think that you guys need to take a look at this issue on the street closures, but I think Ray, I agree that they don't listen to you and they don't care. I get that, all that. But I would be happy to have a discussion with you, Ray, at any time. But back to the broader question. In essence, I don't think, I think the attorney and Mrs. Dooms should have worded the ballot question in the right way. It should have read, do you want the streets closed going forward, yes or no, instead of giving 3 years. I think that's highly irresponsible of this administration. I also think that you guys should at least table the budget until a new council is sworn in. I disagree with Mrs. Tahanovich, and I also want I also on the 610 Walnut Street property, I will like to invite the mayor and Mrs. Dunes and the two people from Ward 3 to come and take a look at what's going on over there, because she's back to trashing up the property again. She's back to, in essence, the same old thing that she's doing. She's in essence just in essence picking up more trash. Now she's living in a motor home right by the residence, which is illegal. The police don't do anything about that. Code enforcement doesn't do nothing, nor neither does public health. And in essence, and I want, in essence, this situation to, in essence, get better. And I just think that it is not only it is a nuisance issue, and it is vitally unacceptable to no end. And I think that the city administrator needs to direct the police chief to do his job and get the police to do their jobs, because they have failed on all levels. Thank you, and I'll be more than happy to meet with you, Ray, on F Street closures.
Okay, and next up we have Denise Wentz.
Hello. So I want to follow up on what Walt Harder said. So I live in Mesa Village, and Tim Donnelly, who is the HOA president of Cottonwood Green, was at my house today. And we talked about, what Walt is proposing. Tim Donnelly did not say, Tim Donnelly told me that he does not know if he's going to write a letter of support. Okay, so he's the HOA president. I know that the HOA president in Cottonwood Green, Erin Hunter, said she's not going to write a letter of support. So we, up there in our neighborhood and actually citywide, feel that we're not being heard when it comes to high-density housing. So we, the citizens, and we have a lot of support for this, I have a lot of support to do a referendum to repeal the R3 zoning of the 5H LLC, or the Back Nine, what it's called. And we're in the process of doing that. We have collected signatures, and it is our right as a citizen, our constitutional right, to go ahead with this process. So I hope that nobody takes anything out on me or my husband or anything like that. This is our constitutional right. We need to let the people vote on the high density that is exploding in this city. And I was downtown talking to a number of people, and people are upset about this. Do we feel that you're changing the character of Salida? It is becoming something that people don't really recognize anymore. So this referendum is going through, and quite frankly, we don't really trust the city nor Walt Harder to do what they say they may do. And because Walt, with the Angel View, has gotten variances to condense the size of the lots, to do setbacks, shorter setbacks. So we are going forward with the referendum, and we will have more than enough signatures. So we would like it to be placed on the ballot so that the Salida citizens can then vote accordingly. And then you will hear from the Salida residents that are your constituents. Do we still want this explosion of high-density housing? Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have anyone online?
No one's hand is raised.
Okay, very good. Excellent.
Wait, can Christy Keller really quickly speak to how, or like when that would be on a ballot if the referendum passes and everything?
We don't have a timeline yet.
Okay.
So it's when the petitions are turned in and when the signatures are sufficient. When I determine that they're all sufficient, then the ordinance will come back to council to either affirm their decision or not. And then from there, we have 30 to 60 days to do a special election. It would probably be in January.
Okay, so it won't be on this
No,
upcoming ballot?
we don't have the time for
Okay,
that. Yeah.
I just wanted to clarify.
Yeah, because that deadline, as I recall, is Friday, 9/5,
This Friday, yes.
this Friday. So it's
Yeah.
going to be
So it will be a
$30,000
special
election.
election.
Yep.
Okay,
Oh,
great.
Deadline to put it on the ballot.
I'm sorry?
So you're saying the deadline to put it on this ballot would be,
Friday.
okay.
Yeah.
So it would be a special.
It would have to be a separate special, right?
And Christy, I can't see you.
What?
So there's no timeline for the petition to be turned in?
They have 30 days to collect their signatures.
From when?
From the day of publication of the ordinance, which was the Friday after the 19th. So 30 days from that Friday, I think is September
It was
17th.
The 22nd was the Friday that it was published.
Yeah. So 30 days from there, they have 30 days to collect signatures and then submit them to me. After that, I have, I want to say 10 days, I'm not positive on that, but to check for sufficiency, to make sure everybody's a registered voter within the city. And then from there, then we'll bring the ordinance back to city council. So it'll probably be in October, probably the first meeting in October.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
So yeah, it'll probably be in January that would have a special election. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Very good. Next up, we have a proclamation declaring September 15th to October 15th as National Hispanic Heritage Month. Whereas each year Americans observe National Hispanic Heritage Month from September 15th to October 15th by celebrating the histories, cultures, and contributions of American citizens whose ancestors came from Spain, Mexico, the Caribbean, and Central and South America. And whereas the day of September 15 is significant because it is the anniversary of independence for Latin American countries Costa Rica, El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, and Nicaragua. In addition, Mexico and Chile celebrate their Independence Days on September 16th and September 18th, respectively. And whereas Hispanic heritage holds an indelible place in the heart and soul of our nation, and National Hispanic Heritage Month reminds us that the American identity is a fabric of diverse traditions and stories woven together. Since the beginning, our country has drawn strength and insights from Hispanic writers, scientists, soldiers, doctors, entrepreneurs, academics, and leaders in labor and government. Our culture has been enriched by the rhythms, art, literature, and creativity of Hispanic peoples. And our deepest values have been informed by the love of family and faith that is at the core of so many Hispanic communities. All of these contributions help us to realize the promise of America for all Americans. And whereas the city of Salida is committed to supporting all members of our community, now therefore the city of Salida does hereby proclaim September 15 to October 15, 2025 as National Hispanic Heritage Month in the city of Salida. And that will bring us to new business. And first up is Bonfire Entertainment LLC. This is an amplified sound permit and a public hearing. So I will go ahead and open the public hearing and turn it over to staff for their report.
Thank you. So Scotty Staunton, sorry if I butchered your name, submitted an amplified sound permit representing Bonfire Entertainment LLC to host the Small Town for a Cause music event September 19th and 20th from 10 a.m. to 10:30 p.m. in Riverside Park. Amplified sound permits may be approved by the administrator certain times of the year for events concluding no later than 10 p.m. Since this is after 10 p.m. on both nights, and it's beyond the limit, we're required to have a public hearing to get public input on that. Staff is recommending approval of the application for September 19th and 20th for the music to run from 10 a.m. to 10:30 p.m. And I can answer any questions if you have them.
Any questions? Okay. I know we have, I think you're not a member of the panel. This is, sorry. We have public comment, but we've already had public comment.
Well,
Yeah.
we have public comment.
Oh, yeah. So if you want to come up and sign up in a couple minutes, I'll bring you up, if you haven't already. Okay. I know we have the applicant with us as well tonight. Would you care to say anything? You're more than welcome to if you'd like.
Sure.
Okay. If you don't mind coming up to the mic, that'd be great.
My name's Scotty Stoughton. No worries, everyone butchers it. Yeah, I just came in tonight to be here to answer any questions. We're kind of continuing to just build relationships inside the community and meeting more and more folks and just understanding, their perspective on the event and answering questions for them. We're really excited. It's been quite a journey to get here to do this event, an event that's been in Chaffey County for a while. It's been very successful. It's very family friendly. It's small, call it a boutique event in our world. And when the cards didn't go in our way with Hutchinson Ranch because of the conservation easement, kind of reached out to the city and felt like it was an amazing opportunity to use this beautiful facility. Our reputation, we've been in Steamboat Springs for 13 years producing events. Those events are about 18,000 over 3 days. Lake Tahoe for 8 years, Southern Vermont, and in Mexico. We've had incredible support from the local community, the business community, and governmental authorities. We're transparent. We're here to listen. We want this to succeed for everybody. It doesn't work if the businesses are affected in a negative manner. It doesn't work if the local community is affected negatively. We understand this is our opportunity to hopefully come back and do it again. But it's one shot to get it right. And if it works for the community and the business community, then it can sustain. So love to answer any questions anybody might have. I'm always available. My team's always available, and it's really been an honor and a privilege to promote Salida, a place that I've been coming to and playing music in since 1996. So this is a really fun family event. We hope to get close to 2,000 people. We have sold 200 kids tickets, another 50 kids 13 to 17. It's a huge family event. There's tons of yoga. There are 2 stages. There is a sound disruption to the community, which I understand. We're bringing in a very professional sound production company to minimize any bleeding outside of the facility with called line arrays, L Acoustics. It's the best sound system in the business. That doesn't mean loud. That means very directional. We do have a side stage that's going, so when music was mentioned from 10 a.m. till 10 p.m., there's a side stage with a big yoga component, 10:30. We anticipate 500 people in the park. You can come and go. We're encouraging people to go to, grab local coffee, lunch, etc. Another yoga class on that same side stage. And then we go to the main stage for a short set, then a side stage, and kind of back and forth. Most of the music is folk, bluegrass, a little bit of reggae, singer-songwriter. We have a ton of female artists that are really making waves nationally, which is part of our bonfire ethos to support. And we're really excited, and hopefully we can do this for many years to come. So I can stay up here to answer questions, or?
That'd be great, if you just for to see if we have any. Anyone have any questions for Scotty?
So you're anticipating around 2,000 people? Or tickets sold? Are they sold, or?
We've been on sale. We've got about 1,100 sold. In our world, in music, it's been a very difficult few years where pre-sales are very low. Walk-ups tend to be higher, but as an independent promoter and producer, it's really hard. And that's actually caused a lot of us to go out of business around the country. And the larger corporations are able to sustain that trend right now. Our company has a great reputation with our community. So we think over the next 2 weeks, we should get close to that number, which is our break even. It's expensive to put these things on. So
Have you done others in Chaffey County, you said?
Yeah, 7 out of 8 years. We did Camp Out for the Cause in 2017, 18, 19, up at the Meadows property in Buena Vista. And we've had a great track record. And then after that, we partnered with an artist, Billy Strings, to do a 4-year experiment called Renewal, which went really well also. Billy is now selling 30,000 tickets, doesn't quite fit. And I wanted to go back to the roots of Camp Out, which was really a beloved family festival. And so many people had been emailing us to bring it back. So we had a great deal with Hutchinson's to do the event there. And then we learned the power of the conservation easement and an inability to do a special event to support agricultural business, which is very difficult to sustain. And became very good friends with the Hutchinsons. I love Art. He's been awesome. We were ready to go. Everyone was excited. And then they learned a little bit deeper about some of the restrictions, which has actually caused a pretty big local, regional, and national conversation about the best way to kind of transition an easement into the future, where land values are so high and ag business doesn't quite bring in, the sustainable income. So that was the plan. And then instead of canceling, we kind of ran the analysis. This is how much we're going to lose, or move forward, and just felt really welcomed here in town. And we thought it was an amazing opportunity to do it. You're welcome.
One of my favorite things about working with Bonfire in the past and Renewal and Camp Out for the Cause is, well, number one, the contribution back to the community. Thank you for that. And number two, the great waste diversion efforts that Bonfire goes to. Can we expect something similar from this event?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, we leave every community cleaner than we found them. And we'll be here with our team post-event and myself, making sure that the micro cleaning is done, like every inch of the park and the camping area. Again, it's leave no trace ethos, and if you see a park that's trashed or your community does, you're gonna hear about it. We have the same waste diversion management company, Minimal Impact, run by Virginia, her name's escaping me. So she's been with us for 5 years, and she's done, up at Renewal, we did 8,000 people a day. So this is substantially smaller.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you very much. Really
You're welcome.
appreciate your support. Okay, and that will bring us to public comment. Thank you. And Betsy Dittenberg up first.
Hi, everyone. I'm Betsy Dittenberg with the Chaffey County Community Foundation. We have partnered with Bonfire Entertainment on a number of their events over the years, and we are also the charitable partner for the special event liquor permit for this event as well. I have continually been really impressed with Bonfire's commitment to environmental sustainability. After the Renewal Festival, which Scotty mentioned, had 10,000 people, or 8,000 this past year. I was up there the next day, and you wouldn't have known that there were people there. Every little piece of trash was picked up. They also go to great lengths to connect with the community, not only making financial contributions, but even collecting good shape camping equipment that can then go back to folks who may be unsheltered that need that camping equipment to survive here in our community. We have 3 different causes that are being highlighted this year, and so we've been working closely with Scotty and his team on how to best raise awareness for those causes, encourage local donations in addition to financial contributions from the company and the event, which I think is really is worth mentioning because as a first-time event, there are a lot of unknown costs, and Scotty and Bonfire have been very committed to making sure that there is that financial commitment, even with all of the changes that have taken place since the inception of the event as Camp Out, now as Small Town. I'm also excited for the chance to encourage people who are coming here as tourists to have that cause mentality and think of ways that they can give back, and this seems like a really great platform to promote that to people. So just wanted to voice support for it.
Thanks. And it's Laura, right? I can't read your last name, I'm sorry. Pomerant, okay, thanks.
So I live on East Sackett, and just to reaffirm what Mike said, we got slammed this summer with the surf wave. So my concern is that the camp out is at Vanderveer now, correct? Right. So how are these people going to be shuttled to the park? How is it going to be done safely? Are we going to have, a bunch of cars descending on the neighborhood again? This is going to be letting out at 10:30 at night. How are we going to get those people back to Vanderveer without overwhelming the neighborhood, especially with Oak Street closures?
Thank you. Okay, is there anyone online?
Not with their hand raised. Do you want us to respond?
Yes, I would
or-
like that.
Oh,
I just wanted to check before we did, yeah.
There isn't anybody
Yeah.
with their hand raised on there.
Yeah.
Scotty, would you like to respond to that?
Yeah, very good question. Definitely a valid concern. For us, the number one thing is safety, and number 2 is making sure everything is clean. And number 3 is, making sure our artists are taken care of. So with regards to going back and forth, we anticipate all in 700 to 800 people camping. Our crowd and audience is very active. I would say most of them know Salida and understand that there's a 1.5 mile distance between the 2 locations. We will have shuttle service. I think it's Hayrides or Haystack. We used them at Renewal the last few years. They were phenomenal. So we've got a few different mini buses on hold, and we'll kind of gauge what we need to add or subtract. We're very mindful of our ADA guests. So we've got ADA parking and camping over at the sites. We're going to make sure we have an ADA accessible vehicle. We do think that most people are going to be biking over there throughout the afternoon and then heading back. The families and whatnot head back probably 8, 9 o'clock back to the camping area. We've talked to the police chief and the commander and got an outline of the best and safest route between the 2 areas. We're creating sandwich board signs that say "Follow the Way" in very bright neon yellow wrapped with reflective tape. We might put some biking blinkers on them. We're going to do those sandwich boards at every intersection where people might be confused as where to go. You'll be able to look across and say, oh, that's where we're going. We have a map that's been created that will push out to our attendees. Starting next week on Thursday and then Sunday, we push these Know Before You Go memos through Instagram stories, Facebook, and also on our website, which will have that map, the suggested route, what to watch out for. Also, encouraging a leave no trace ethos throughout the community. Our staff will monitor that route, and the buses obviously will be on a different route than that. We don't anticipate anybody coming and going. There's no leaving the campsite once you're in. We anticipate 500 people will come early camping on Thursday. The remainder will come in on Friday, and you're not allowed to leave. Once you set up, you're there, and you're biking, you're walking, or you're taking the shuttle. And we had really great success and a good idea of the metrics with the shuttles we had at the Renewal campsite that went a mile into town, into Buena Vista and back. We'll also message our attendees, which we do quite a bit, and do a survey and really get a good gauge on, are you walking, are you biking, are you utilizing the shuttle? And we'll have backup shuttles on hand, if needed.
Thanks. Appreciate the thoughtfulness. Okay, so there's nobody else in public comment. I don't see any need for rebuttal, but maybe you do, for anything that was said tonight? Feel good? Okay. Anything from staff? No. Okay. Then does council have any questions for any party or person who's offered comment at the hearing? No. Seeing nothing there, I'll go ahead and close the public hearing, and that'll bring us to preliminary council discussion. Who'd like to begin?
Yeah, I guess I would just like to express a concern about just now hearing in chambers about this event that was described by Scotty himself as a town takeover in the Mountain Mill in an article from May. 2,000 people, we are just hearing about it tonight, 2 weeks before the event. That is concerning to me. And I know that's not on you, Scotty. I do know that that falls more on our staff. Something like this, I feel we haven't seen anything about anything. All we're talking about tonight is a noise ordinance. Yeah, I definitely feel strongly that the proceeds could have gone to the housing authority, considering that the South Arc neighborhood, the Vanderveer Ranch, is going to be South Arc. It's going to be affordable housing. In my mind, I would have liked to have seen it go there. Not that the Community Foundation does not do great work, to Betsy over there, but yeah, I just think that this feels like this was started to be a plan in May, and we're hearing about it 2 weeks before the event. I think it's going to be a great event. I'm excited for it. Do not get me wrong. It just raises concerns to me hearing we're going to have 700 to 800 campers at Vanderveer Ranch. I appreciate Councilmember Nacarado asking about waste diversion, but yeah, I just wanted to say that.
Okay. Anybody else? Questions, comments, discussion?
I imagine that part of the delay was the change in venue.
There was a major pivot.
Yeah.
A major pivot.
Is it too late to hear, Ray, you're a downtown business owner right across the street there. You have any comments, or have you been approached, and what's your kind of?
Yeah, I've known about it for 3 months. They've done a great job. They reached out to us personally, they reached out to the staff, they worked out some discounts for tubes and stuff like that. I think it's a great event. They communicated a lot more to me than the city council ever did on the closure of F Street. That's for sure.
And just as an FYI, in the future, we ask questions amongst ourselves and not of the audience. Yeah, yeah.
Gotcha.
Okay. Anything else?
I hear Council Member Martin's concerns, as far as being a new event, and, I think it's kind of if we move forward, I think we'll have a lot more actual, thoughtful discussion around this. It seemed like the change of venue and the scramble with all that, something obviously got lost in the shuffle, and we don't, I guess we don't always get apprised to every single detail that happens in the city, do we?
Thank you.
But you could speak to that if you'd like.
And let me also say that I have been aware of this, and I apologize. I assumed that others.
Yeah, it was in the paper in May. That's what I'm saying. It was a total town takeover. That was described in the paper in May. So, I've known about it too.
Right.
I've, during our one-on-one discussion, I've asked City Administrator Dune, when will we hear from them? I'm concerned about the camping. I brought it up in chambers here as well.
I can hear your frustration.
It's just concerning.
I understand. I understand. Yeah, go ahead.
Sure, and it was the liquor license was on the last council agenda as well for this event. So I apologize if it wasn't clear enough that I haven't shared with you the way, generally speaking, the council does not get into the details about the specifics of an event, fencing and porta potties and all of that, that doesn't come to council with a FIB ARC or any other event. So I apologize if that was something that you wanted to have discussed here. Diesel and I have been working with Bonfire Entertainment. There was a scramble to determine whether or not it could even happen and if they sold enough tickets. So Scotty and I talked about it today. Where was it at what point did I bring it forward when they didn't know when they were gonna actually have the event? So I apologize for not giving you the information. I felt like we were being really transparent with what we knew at the time. And as the process moved forward, as any other multi-day event does, it came to you for the various items that normally do.
Approve, okay.
So I apologize.
Yeah, and I'll just make a quick comment that might help as well. Previously, you would have gotten a packet full of 200 pages of event details in your council packets, but about a year ago, we changed the code so that you guys kind of weren't burdened with those details. And event organizers weren't necessarily going to council for approval of their event, because as long as they followed the rules, their event was approved, and it made planning an event very difficult, because we would have to wait until like now to get event approval, or even a month ago to get approval to have the event, and that's just not enough time to make things happen. So we as staff, when the code was rewritten, it was written in such a way that we as staff just guide event organizers through our process, and a lot of things are staff approval, because the code calls it out as staff approval. And really at no point in our process, just as a general consideration, is their obligation. If they didn't want liquor or stay having music until 10:30, it never would come here. Now, if you would, it will be in your update. So in the council updates for the Parks and Recreation Department, there's an events section, and it would be, you would be told of it. I can see how an event like this, something new, something big, we might have wanted to have even just a sit down, just a meeting, and just talk about it, even individually. So if you guys ever have a question about something like that, feel free to reach out to Christy and she can contact me, or we can organize something. But to be clear, there's really no formal mechanism to kind of bring it to council right now.
Thank you for those reminders, because I really appreciate not having to wade through all of that in the packet. You know, and it does make sense that we would set at a certain level that we do want to hear about it.
Okay. Yeah.
I feel like we did all know about it since May, and as you just said, there was that sit down, where you were informed about it. I know I was. I can't speak for everybody, but I feel like staff made an effort to make sure to get a temperature read on it. And so these council hearings are triggered by policy decisions, so there has to be a policy to trigger it. I'm excited about it. I'm excited to see it move forward. I've known also about it like the rest of the town since May, so.
Thanks. Anything else?
I'd like to make a motion.
Please.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve an amplified sound permit for Bonfire Entertainment LLC on September 19th and 20th, 2025, from 10 a.m. to 10:30 p.m. in Riverside Park.
Second.
So we have a motion from Councilmember Fontana, seconded by Councilmember Nacarado, and the motion is to approve an amplified sound permit for Bonfire Entertainment LLC on September 19th and 20th, 2025, from 10 a.m. to 10:30 p.m. in Riverside Park. Further discussion?
Nacarado,
Yes.
Stevens,
Yes.
Critelli,
Yes.
Happenfort,
Yes.
Martin,
Yes.
Fontana.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Okay, and that brings us to item number 12, which is support Colorado Association of Ski Towns, i.e. CAST, for their 2026 Colorado Legislative Position Statement on Housing.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As you all are aware, the city of Salida is a member of CAST. CAST represents mountain resort communities throughout Colorado who share some of the same stressors related to economic development and housing. CAST has a task force set up specifically for housing. And if you might remember from last year, the Housing Task Force brought forward 3 separate enabling legislative priorities and asked for community support. City of Salida gave the support to CAST last year, and those legislative items were forwarded on to CML. It takes a couple of years to get any legislation through. CML did take up the 3 legislative items last year and were unfortunately unsuccessful, but we're bringing it forward again, asking for support. Again, this is enabling legislation. So it would allow for communities like the city of Salida, statutory cities, statutory counties, to put these questions on a ballot. It does not change any of the other taper requirements. There isn't anything that can just be imposed by city council. It just allows for the question to be asked. So there are 3: short-term rental taxes, local vacancy tax, and a local real estate transfer tax. It is, it will be an uphill battle, particularly with the local real estate transfer fee. The governor has indicated that he will not pass the legislation, even if, he'll veto the legislation even if it passes. But again, this really kind of allows for the same type of legislation for statutory cities to move forward onto the ballot. So CAST is asking for your support. That's what we have here. Staff is recommending that city council support this legislative statement, which you can see attached to the CAF. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Questions for Christy?
Christy, could you kind of underscore what would ultimately, from these, topics that we would be in support of, like what would ultimately apply to us in our statutory status?
It would allow us varying revenue sources on different types of housing that we have here. So one of the local vacancy tax would allow the city to refer a question to the ballot, allowing us to tax vacant homes or second homes, and there would be kind of clear, like, less than half the time is spent in the home. So, right now, because the city doesn't have a property tax, those homes sitting vacant, they're not paying city property tax. If they're vacant, there are not people here buying things and contributing to sales tax. So it would be a revenue source that would allow us to ask the voters if we could tax those vacant homes. So.
But as far as like real estate transfer fee, that we wouldn't be able to do that as a statutory community, or
Yes,
would
we
we?
would, yeah.
We would.
If this, yes, if this
If
were
this-
to pass. If this
Oh,
were
but only if you
statute.
bend the
So-
governor's ear and get him not to.
Oh, right, yeah, right.
So Christy,
Yes.
they're asking these to come to the ballot and the governor's gonna say no.
No, what they're asking is if CAS communities would support this position statement going to the Colorado Municipal League, who would then initiate legislation that would go to the Colorado House and Senate. If it were to pass the House and Senate, then the governor would need to sign it into law. Let's assume he does. If it goes into law, then the city of Salida would have the opportunity to ask our voters to do that. So it doesn't put anything into law, it enables us to
ask.
Mhm. Yes, that's all. Okay?
I'm certainly in support of it, and especially the local vacancy tax, because I think the voters would clearly pass it, because it's a huge annoyance that a lot of housing that could have been workforce housing, had it not been built million-dollar homes, that they would be required to pay in something extra. And is the relief that the short-term rental, that's exactly what that community's asking for somebody else to fund something besides them. And so I think it would be a golden opportunity if the statutory cities and counties could get that opportunity to ask their voters for these things. Because the people with the vacant homes, you can bet they're voting at home. They're not voting here. It would easily pass.
Yep.
Interesting.
And it's just important, and that is a position statement. So
Yeah.
it states where, you know, where we sit, where we take a position on it.
Probably don't want to cash any checks quite yet. That
Oh,
would
no.
be nice.
Can't make any deposits.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Especially when this is like coming from communities that are on some sort of trajectory that we could very well be on as far as their housing
Yeah.
situation. And it makes it an invaluable relationship when we can go and communicate with these communities and see, you know, what they're doing to address what essentially, you know, took the state by storm.
Yeah, and or learn from communities who weren't able to act quickly enough. And, you know, that's what we hear from some of our cast colleagues, is how sad it is in their town to have so many dark windows, and it's kind of a ghost town because the amount of vacant homes.
Yeah.
I would make a motion.
That'd be great.
I move to support Colorado Association of Ski Towns CAS 2026 Colorado Legislative Position Statement on Housing.
Second.
So we have a motion from Councilmember Nacarado. It's seconded by multiple people, Pappenfort, Councilmember Pappenfort. And the motion is to support Colorado Association of Ski Towns, CAS 2026 Colorado Legislative Position Statement on Housing. Further discussion?
Pappenfort,
Yes.
Critelli,
Yes.
Nacarado,
Yes.
Martin,
Yes.
Stevens,
Yes.
Fontana,
Yes.
motion passed.
Okay, and that brings us to Resolution 2025-40, a resolution of the City Council for the City of Salida, Colorado, approving appointments to the Chaffee Housing Authority Board. And I just want to comment that I really appreciate all the interest we've heard from this body on the appointment. Not everyone is going to go home happy tonight, but I really appreciate everyone stepping up and putting their names out there, so.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Resolution 2025-40 would appoint a council member to the Chaffee Housing Authority Board. The seat was vacated by Mr. Goodson at the last council meeting. The City of Salida has the authority to appoint 2 representatives to CHA. Currently, Council Member Nacarado is one of the appointees. Her term expires on January 31st, 2026. This next appointment, whoever you appoint here, will fulfill the term of Mr. Goodson, and that term expires January 31st, 2027. I'm happy to answer questions.
Questions?
I have a question for Councilmember Nacarado. Can you describe the, I guess like workload, but also, can you just like speak to what it's like to be on the board, I guess?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would love to, because I think it's important to talk about. It is time consuming, and it is challenging to be a council member and to also be on the CHA board because of the time commitment. In addition to the monthly board meeting, which does require some hefty reading sometimes because of really dense material and policies. Board members are also expected to serve on a subcommittee for the Housing Authority. So some of those subcommittees include the Board Development Subcommittee, the Development Subcommittee, Education and PR Committee, and I'm probably forgetting a few. But Monica Haskell, our board chair, is here. Oh, Finance Committee, thank you. And so I don't know if it'd be appropriate, we can ask Monica to come up and answer questions about it as well.
Sure.
It is, yeah, it's a significant commitment, especially just making sure to understand the materials in that board packet. I think one of the things that I've come to realize through this term on the Housing Authority is that while it's an intergovernmental organization, it doesn't have a clerk. And that's a really big deal because it makes me realize how much our city clerk does. But it's really up to the board and staff to uphold all of the governmental expectations of that board too. So I was provided with some materials today about skills assessment from the previous board, and then what kind of board member qualities for board recruitment were discussed by the CHA at their retreat last December. So some of the skills and competencies and experience that I think are still being recruited for the board include understanding of federal funding sources, understanding of fiduciary duty and financial literacy, understanding board management, understanding fundraising, lived experience in our community, and affordable housing experience. And then some qualities, which I think that everybody on this council holds, like having a regional ethic and not just serving yourself as an individual. Being an honest team player, being up for the long-term commitment, and then I think willingness to champion the CHA is a really important one. On another skills assessment that was done with the board, it looks like fundraising in the world of grants and philanthropy is a needed skill, budgeting and oversight, fundraising in the world of contracts and fee-for-service. And then I did learn today that our treasurer, Libby Fay, her term is ending this winter, and she has done a fantastic job as treasurer, but she's looking for some succession planning on that treasurer role as well. So that's that financial literacy, financial oversight skill is a big one. Monica, do you want to add anything? No?
I don't need to add anything. I think that.
But if you're going to, can you go to the microphone? I know you don't.
Monica Haskell, Chair of the CHA. The lift is significant. You have the board meeting, which is 2 to 3 hours each month. Then you have a work group, which is typically 2 hours. These are in person. Some work groups do more than that. The finance work group is working on a new system to do our financing, so I think that they're spending some more time, and that is where our need is really on the financing side of the CHA right now. So in person, you're probably looking at 5 to 6 hours a month currently, plus the time to read all the documents and emails that you get. So it's a big lift for a volunteer job compared to other volunteer jobs that I see in the community.
Guess we're gonna find out in a minute if we scared anybody off.
But I'll start, if that's all right.
Sure.
I would just like to say, so I have done a lot of research in the last 2 weeks since we talked about this. I've done a lot of research on the CHA and looking into more of what they do and what this involves and all of that stuff. And I realized just myself how much time this would take. And so with my commitment to the Finance Committee already, my commitment to City Council, my full-time job, which is around 50 hours a week, and the Salida Greater Recreation Board, I'm gonna leave it up to you two ladies to figure this out. Because I see myself, without you even discussing yours or your 5 hours, that it's a lot of time, 5 to 6 or more. And I know that I can't make the full commitment at this point. So that's where.
Appreciate your thought on this.
Well, it's gonna take a lot.
Yeah.
And so I would like to give that if I had it.
Yeah, thank
So,
you. Thank you.
I also appreciate the eagerness to jump in.
Yeah.
Yeah. We were commenting today, it hasn't been like this in the past to have this much interest, so that's appreciated.
I'm not saying I can't do it in the future, just this time. Yes.
And then I would really like Wells to do it, and I'm willing to support on the finance end, because I've done a lot of transitions from one system to another, and a lot of people consider me quite talented. That's what all my jobs are, they're all finance. And so, but I'm really in favor of Wells doing that. with me just supporting as a citizen, the finance part of it.
And I would just say, I really do like the idea of Councilmember Martin in that capacity. I mean, here's somebody who's really passionate about housing, who went through the Housing Trust program.
Yeah.
So a great example of someone who put in the time and now has long-term housing security. So I think that would be a great addition to the board.
You are still interested, of course, right?
I was just gonna comment that,
Now
just
that
as a reminder, it doesn't have to be a council person. If that feels like too hefty of a time commitment for you, we could also certainly look to go out to the broader community.
Yeah.
And we were leaning into that because of the governance restrictions. That's why we thought at this time, a second council member would be appropriate. And that doesn't mean that it always needs to be 2 council members.
In my opinion, I don't think it should be 2 council members
Exactly.
every time. Having a citizen is important. Yeah, I asked about timing because my heart is very much in this, and my mind is also thinking about just the workload in general. And I think it's important for me to remember too, that, you know, I am up for election this year. It's not like I'm not, I could be leaving in November. So it's, yeah, that's just something I've thought about.
Councilmember Martin, if you decide to do this, and there would be 1 or 2 meetings before the election, and you chose not to do it after the election, I would be willing to step in. I know you don't want change on there, you want a consistent.
There's some logistical things too that seem to take a lot of time and effort, like getting email addresses, getting trained, getting access to the files, that kind of thing too.
And from what I've seen, the staff has really stepped up their game. They've really got a professional staff over there now. And so I think this time commitment is going to lighten up. I wouldn't let it scare me off. I mean, I want to let it scare me off, but I don't want to let it. You know, because it's true that I have been housing insecure, but it's been a long time. Salida was a different town. You know, I had housing available to me for $140 a month when I got here. It's a completely different world. You're much more in tune with what's going on, you know, so you certainly bring that citizen point of view to it in a way that I can't. You know, I've always, you know, struggled with it, but it was a while back.
Yeah. I think with that lift that Elisa offered to help with the financial piece, you know, that could potentially reduce the pressure.
Yeah, so Elisa, do you mean, Councilmember Papenfort, do you mean like, you'd be like on like the finance committee? What do you mean you'd help with the finance?
Well, Libby
side?
wants to do concession planning, and they're converting to a new system. So I would help with the conversion to the new system, and then training whoever the new treasurer would be. Because as new team members come on, just like here, as new team members come on, there might be somebody who really wants to be on the housing board even more than you do, you know? And so all that remains to be seen. But I would help with that, the finance transition, because I've done it over and over again.
Would that be something that we would have to approve?
No, that would be me doing it as a citizen.
Just, okay, got it. Just your own time. Cool. We don't have to approve that.
Plus we have.
CHA might have to approve something, but not here.
You don't have, yeah. Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt that you fit the mold for this role, Councilmember Martin, in a way that we'd want that representation as far as this council's concerned. It really just, again, comes down to, I know full well what it's like to be asked a lot of for a little, so, but a lot of time, so.
But at least you get the big bucks here.
That's right. We're still in the $400 a month, but it's okay. So yeah, obviously no pressure
No, no pressure, yeah.
No, obviously
Yeah.
not.
There's just a motion though.
Do you want some more time, or can we delay the decision, give you some more time?
Make sure you really feel comfortable with
We can
whatever
put it
decision.
out there. We can advertise for it and see if there's interest in the, or what interest there is in the community. And if there isn't, that could be a different conversation then.
Yeah. I really want to be there. That's the thing, you know? I just worry about spreading myself too thin so that I'm not fully present at all of the things I commit to, which I know all of us feel that burden in a lot of different ways. If we do put it out, when do you think we could expect to, I mean, would we want to wait like a month? Like, I don't know how, because also it's just, we still have one less vote right now as a city for anything that the CHA is doing, you know?
That's true. It's, yeah, and there's not any big things coming up.
Okay.
In the immediate future, I can say that, so.
Yeah.
Sure, we could get it in the paper on Friday the 5th. Take a couple weeks probably to let people submit an application. The last week of September, we could plan ahead and have an interview panel with people from the CHA board, probably the same as we had in the past. And then could feasibly bring something forward to council for your consideration on October 7th. That's the hustle.
I would maybe like to see what the interest is from the community, and if we don't have any interest from the community, I will then be happy to step up and do it. I'm just concerned for my own time.
As you should be.
Yeah.
And self-care, it needs to be in there
Step
somewhere.
out.
Yeah, yeah.
I'd want to be fully present in what
I can let
I'm
council
doing.
know, the week of September 22nd, what interest we've received. How does that sound?
Yeah,
Okay.
that sounds great.
Okay.
That would be great.
go
Thank you.
from
there.
Christy. Yeah.
Okay. So does that mean, should we table this, continue it? What should it?
Should we make a motion to advertise publicly?
I don't think you need to do that. I think that
You could
it could,
continue this to
you could
October
continue
7th.
this, unless you want the resolution number, or it can die for lack of a movement, for lack of action.
Let it die on the vine.
No, it can die on the vine, it can die, it can almost die.
So would anyone like to bring forth a motion?
Okay.
Seeing none.
There you go.
It's been pronounced dead on the vine.
We'll take it off life support.
Yeah.
And we
That's
have a
sufficient,
plan.
yeah, that's
Okay, all right, great.
And I have direction.
Okay,
The resolution's
all
already.
right. And that will bring us then to council reports. Councilmember Fontana.
Oh, I have some reports. So I was listening to the public comment tonight, and I had reached out to some people because I was allowed to talk to people in the community now, reached out to some people in Cottonwood Greens, Cresto Mesa, and 5H. And also to Bill Almquist. And after hearing Mr. Harder and the discussions that I've had, I was hoping that we could, I talked to Bill to ask for support to make a request of staff to have discussions with 5H developments. Am I saying that right, Bill? To allow staff to reach out to them to continue discussions on that so that we could possibly, I know that the one lady said that there was going to be a referendum, but if we give staff permission to reach out to this, we could possibly
Save $30,000.
Save that. And
Yeah,
I
I
would like
support
to
that,
ask, thank you.
Councilmember.
And that's just asking staff to reach out and continue discussions?
So,
I don't know,
It's okay, I don't know that we need staff, I don't know that we need council direction for staff to
Okay.
work with.
You understand that
And
$30,000
no
was-
pressure.
No
would suck.
pressure.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
staff has been working with them. So
Okay.
I just want to be clear that this is not something new. This is the regular order and mode and the way staff works with developers and other in the community to bring forward the best applications to the council. So, and Bill's gonna fill in somewhere
Yes,
along the
thank you.
lines, but
I don't
I
know.
just don't, I mean,
Yeah.
there's no reason for, really, because
Yeah,
administrative.
you're correct. The one caveat I'll make is generally when we do an annexation agreement, it mirrors that which was approved in the annexation ordinance, right? And so what Mr. Harder presented this evening and is discussed goes above and beyond what was approved in the annexation ordinance, which is much more restrictive than what was approved. And so, I mean, we are happy to work with the applicant on what he has provided and proposed for the purposes of an annexation agreement that could come in front of this body at the next meeting, if you would prefer that, versus what was approved in the annexation ordinance, which was that 96 unit cap, if you recall.
Well, it might be beneficial to wait until the 30 days after the final reading of the ordinance to see what happens with the referendum and have those discussions instead of staff spending time bringing forward something that may or may not appease those who are not interested in the change. Bill and I have talked about this. The crux of the issue seems to be the R3 zoning, which will not change in the annexation agreement. So we can talk to them. My inclination has been, and I've talked to staff about this, is to wait until the 30 days is up to see what comes forward because of the conversations that are taking place in the community instead of
And
putting
it
staff
sure,
in the
they
middle.
sure seem dead set on it too.
Yeah.
So I'd hate to send staff down a rabbit hole.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, okay,
And if I could add on to that
Well,
topic.
oh, go ahead.
Just that one thing. You know, I'm concerned about the misconception by the public that's being put out there that if I vote against this, that it will stop density in Salida at large. And no, it will not. It's only this one development that they would be voting on if it goes to a vote. I
Okay,
yield.
okay, thank you for your input, I appreciate it. Okay, so I was able to attend CAST last week, and that organization has so many resources for our city: tourism, lodging, STRs, parking, childcare, housing fund options. I'd like to thank our administrator for that and encourage our staff to use their resources when bringing forward information to us, because that cast is incredible. That group of people is incredible. So thank you, Christy, for that. The Salida Greater Recreation Area update. So I was able to talk to Chief Johnson. I was out of town at the cast while they had their last board meeting, so I missed that. So I got an update. The one before, we had a council meeting. This one, we had a cast meeting. So I keep getting updates. And the golf course is in great shape right now. I actually went and played the last couple weeks, and it's absolutely beautiful. They hosted the Chaffey County Open this weekend, and it was a 3-day tournament where I just received information that it was 60% of the players in the tournament were from out of town. And it's a 3-day tournament, so that means they stayed at least 2 nights at a hotel. So that is incredible that they're bringing in people into our community to spend money and stimulate our local economy, which is wonderful. They are also hosting a tournament in October in combination with the Buena Vista Golf Course. It's a 2-day event. The board is saying that this event will also bring in people, because when they come down from Buena Vista to play, they will come and frequent our establishments and stuff. So we're hoping that that brings in some more money into the city. And they're saying it's the best time to play, and it actually is. I've played all summer and spring, and right now the course is the best it's been. So if you feel like playing, there's still time. So the next two things, I would like to ask for support from the council. I would like to invite the Salida Hockey Association, led by John Fritz, to do an update to council. I know that they had done an update a couple years ago, but I was not on council for that. So I was hoping to ask for support to invite them for an update.
I'll support that.
And I will as well, as long as they don't bring a financial request with it.
I told them that.
Okay.
Thank you. That was made very clear.
As long as they know that.
Just an update in the community, keep their ball rolling. If you need contact stuff, I can get it to you.
Thank you.
Okay. The last one is another support to, from council to invite Vero Touch to council for a presentation. I had the opportunity to tour their 3D printed homes in person over at Cleora. Amazing. Jake Rashavi from the used to be on the EDC, gave me the tour. He was wonderful. He wants to bring to council an update on how they're promoting housing, affordable housing, and workforce housing especially, and they've already sold 2 units in Buena Vista. So I'd like to ask for support.
I support that.
I support it. That's great.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay.
That's all for me.
All right, Councilmember Gertelli, thank you.
Just to address, this isn't the first time I've heard from neighbors on Sackett about the camper van situation. I have even been brought around to the pop-up neighborhood on the streets. It's there, I guess. Living in a van down by the river is now like the bougie thing to do. It's one of those things where you get these $100,000 camper vans that can fit the mold of just a regular car parked, but it is like somebody living out of there, whereas, me rolling into town over 10 years ago in my RV, I was spotted from like a mile away. So it's just something to it's on the radar. We might have to have like little signs to designate like, hey, we'd love to have your van not in front of somebody's house for like an entire month. Might be something worth addressing. It is just the new trend. The glamping era is upon us. So just throwing that out there. And yeah, something that came up also was that tourism with a cause idea that concept that Betsy had presented. And, I've been having a lot of conversations about taxes on short-term rentals has been still coming up, where I was, the first 5 years of discussion on this council, I was a lodger, so I recused myself from public discussion on that. I think coming with that experience as a lodger, when we had dealt with that lodging tax on a $25 bunk, it impacted my business model the most, being the most affordable and clean, lodging option. It was definitely a thing. Of course, as a lodging owner, there's an actual in-person interaction and not, app, completely app managed. So there was a lot more opportunity to explain that tax. I was working with a demographic of people that were like, hey, hold on, I've got $25, what's this extra $5? That's a lot. And explaining where that money went and what the cause was, and being able to point to how this money is being spent and real projects. I think that is something that we could do better as a city when we're underscoring what the fund is being utilized for, and being very open with every iteration of that, so we don't have to have anybody even on council when it's being discussed as far as like, wait, what is this money being used for? I think really having that be, this is the cause. that this money is going towards, it really does help inform the tourist of like, I can help, I can assist in something that would otherwise be a detriment. It can actually be productive. I think people want to know that. And I never had a single person through hiker, you know, they live with their pack on their back. I mean, they had options. I never had anybody get turned away because of that tax, as long as, you know, they knew how it was being spent and where it was going. So that's just something to just keep in mind, that, you know, that cause behind, you know, these actions. So it's not just a number where it's like, oh, this just feels like a cash grab to the tourist. And that's just something that I mean, really, I mean, I appreciate Betsy's insight always, but that really sparked something. So other than that, that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Nacarado.
Let's see, I wanted to start by clarifying one of my comments from the last meeting, but that was quoted in the paper about closing the gate, like nobody gets to come here and close the gate after they get here. My point was that I used to live up, as a kid, I got to live for a short time up on Mesa Circle, and Cottonwood Green and the other neighborhoods were not there then. So, in my opinion, they're the ones that brought some density by adding those neighborhoods there. So you don't get to say, we're gonna have the density of housing that's here, but you don't get to have density there. So that's, yeah, hopefully that point is a bit clearer now.
Like it's printed in the paper too, you know?
Exactly. Things change, communities change. We really liked running in those open fields without housing in them when I was a kid, and now they're full of housing. So who brought the density? I do have a CHA memorandum that I will bring to you before the next council meeting about something that we did discuss at our last board meeting that's just a bit difficult to convey with words. So I think it'll be easier to write it out and explain it to you. And it's about our the evolution of the special limited partnership agreement that CHA facilitates into what's now being called the partnership agreement, so that it's more understandable, but still pretty dense. So I hope to bring that forward. And then my last comment is just that I don't know if I want to dignify it with a comment, but I'm so confused about being yelled at for being an elected representative of the people, being chastised for putting a question on the ballot to the people. We have made the tough decision around the street closure so many times. For some of us, 4 years at least.
It only feels like 15.
Right. I mean, I cannot tell you how much I'm looking forward to not having to have to make that decision every year, and it's really tough every time. And so I am happy that it's going to go to a vote of the people who we represent, to bring these decisions to. Thanks.
Thank you.
Councilmember.
Councilmember Martin.
I'm sorry. I have a clarifying question. Councilmember, do you need to have that special limited partnership on the agenda somehow? Is it needing to be okayed by
No.
city council, or is it, okay?
It doesn't need to be okayed by city council. I just need to put it in writing to make it understandable.
Okay, so you'll have it during your council report?
Yeah, and
Have
can
on
we
the
add it
agenda?
to the agenda under my council report?
I think so. We'll figure out where to put it.
Okay.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, Councilmember Martin.
I don't have anything tonight. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you. Councilmember Stevens.
Yeah, just kind of the comments about, you know, and the public comment about the F Street closures. Of course, none of us like to sit up here and be called, you know, chicken shit or, you know, shameful and all that kind of stuff, you know. It's, you know, going forward with, you know, I agree with kind of what Councilmember Nacarado had just said about putting it on the ballot and bringing it to the people, because, yeah, because I mean, my stance now, I got on board with it this last time because I wanted to see, because I put it on the business owners and then to step up their game a little bit, and I wanted to see more out of it. And going down there every day this summer, it didn't, nothing really new happened. Nobody stepped up their game. It was pretty sad down there again this year. So I would vote this year to just get rid of it completely. I'm not for it anymore. I don't want to mess with it anymore, because obviously this year they did not do what I was hoping and make it nice down there, and everybody, put forth a little bit of effort, a little bit more effort to make it something worth, returning every year. So what I saw this year was not, it kind of just, it turned me completely off of doing it again. So putting it out to the people to see what they think is I think the right step moving forward, kind of getting it off of our back and kind of seeing what the town really wants, So, that's kind of where my stance is on the F Street closure. Other than that, just wanted to remind everybody coming up here on September 6th, 8 a.m. to 2 p.m., we're having the air show up at the Harriet Alexander Airfield. So get online, and I don't know if you purchased, I don't know if you purchased, I'm sure you can purchase tickets online or show up at the gate and get in. I'm not sure exactly what the entry process is. I didn't do that. I didn't dive that far into it, but it is September 6th, 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. So bring the kids out. It's going to be a pretty amazing show. So that's all I got.
Thank you. Councilmember Pappenfort.
The last air show that I attended, they did a really terrific job with the parking. They had great volunteers, and it was really way easier than I expected it to be. So I would encourage people to take advantage of that. It's pretty awesome. I do agree with Ray's one point that we are a representative government. And as a representative, because we're the ones who read all the paperwork and understand what's going on, and that's why representative government is a thing. I'm kind of with Aaron on the F Street closure, don't care about it at all. But I do want to talk a little bit about the budget, because I've already made my point about the density, that voting on that one referendum would do nothing for density in Salida. But the staff has been asked to tighten their belts tremendously, and I think council should step up to the plate and do the same thing. I think that we should reduce our travel. We're already reducing dinners, and we need to make some painful cuts ourselves. CML, I think that's something that we need to do, but we have a very reliable staff who can attend conferences and share information with us, and we do not need to be paying for expensive hotel rooms. If it's deemed that we need to go back to a room sharing situation the way that it used to be. But I would encourage council to stay home, quit traveling. We can't afford it. As far as the marketing idea that Justin brought up, that Councilmember Critelli brought up, I really appreciate what he said about the short-term rental fees, a lot of that being almost a donation. So I wonder what the legality is of giving the visitor a tax donation receipt for that share of the bill. Because that certainly makes me feel better when I give a donation and it's acknowledged as a donation. And I know what it's going for. Because generally I'm gonna fund operations, because I understand how hard it is to get donations that fund operations. And without operations, nothing happens. So please share that with your friends in the lodging world, because that's certainly what I would be doing. And then just to compete with you a little bit on your ragtag thing that you got here in, I got here in a school bus, and it had big patches of giant rusted out holes. And so there was no way that anybody missed that bus. Well, it was started out a hole and then it was patched. And it wasn't smooth like our sidewalks are gonna be when David Lady finishes with the new project. It was rough. Let me tell you, it was not pretty at all. And that's all I have.
Okay. I just had a few things. One, I wanted to respond, there were some comments brought forward at the beginning of citizen comment around Sackett and what's happening down late. I mean, really loud noise at midnight, and I'd like to direct staff, specifically the police, to take a really hard look at that, because we have all these other ordinances in place with noise, and I think it's really important that we get a handle on that. So that was one. I'd also like to direct staff, when we talked about short-term rentals a few weeks ago, one of the things on the agenda was the idea of perhaps removing the residency requirement. And I'd like, because we didn't get a chance to have that conversation, I think that's something that we still need to do. So I'd like to direct staff to bring that back.
Would you like it in a work session?
I think so, yeah, maybe just on that.
Okay.
On F Street, since it came up, I just want to say that the reason for putting it on the ballot, every year we go through this horrific experience that's been alluded to, and the business owners, because they don't know what's going to happen the next year, and totally makes sense from my point of view, they're unwilling to invest in something that might go away next year. I mean, I think about how Harry Hansen at Riveting, they built that great big structure that they can't really use now. And so the idea of putting it on the ballot with 3 years might encourage some of the stuff that we're all hoping to see, and give them some time to get some return on investment. So I just wanted to put that out there. The only other thing that I had was I had an opportunity to go to the retirement party for Dave Carruthers last week. He was with the city, I think it was 28 years, if I remember correctly, and really grateful for his service. And he has definitely earned what I hope is a wonderful, wonderful retirement. So thank you. Thank you for that. That's all I have. Anything from our attorney?
Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, I have some important announcement. On or about October 20th, I'll become a grandfather, and I want to report
Congratulations.
my daughter tells me she feels like a bratwurst. So that's my update.
I think you're going to be a very jovial grandfather.
Oh, you know it. The kid isn't going to have a chance.
Okay. That would, treasurer report.
Well, I don't know if I can follow that up after Jeff's
Yeah.
comment. I just wanted to take a second and thank staff for all the hard work they did in preparation of the budget presentation this evening. And I look forward to looking through it a little bit more thorough. So that's it.
Thank you. Any department updates?
Oh, I think we've been updated. We're good.
Oh, we've definitely been updated. Well, then all that remains is a motion to adjourn.
I'm sorry, just really quick. F Street closure being on the ballot also saves money and time for staff. I think that's like a super important thing there too.
Yes.
Just want to put that out there. Okay.
And also, air show is free. There's no tickets. Free. It's free.
And so what about around this whole notion of an adjournment?
Oh, yeah. And also I make.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Have a good night, everybody.